I did get to looking around the room as I settled in, and I found a couple issues with the room that I think it's going to bother a few of you. A lot of you probably will overlook it, but some people are going to be bothered by it. So ahoy, mateys. Oh, geez, that was even dumber than I thought it was going to be.
You are not a pirate.
But I am staying at a pirate-themed hotel, and in this video, I'm going to show you.
Way hanging up, she rises early in the morning. What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Way hanging up, she rises. Way hanging up, she rises. Way hanging up, she rises early in the morning.
Oh, the places you'll go, or in this case, oh, the places YouTube will take you. I am all checked in here at a place I've never been before. This is Treasure Island Hotel and Casino here in Las Vegas, and I know next to nothing about this place. Ashton and I have never stayed here, we've never eaten here, we've never gambled here. I know quite a bit about the history of this hotel, but what it's like to stay here and do all of those things, I know none of that. So tonight and tomorrow, you and I get to explore this place together. I'm pretty excited about it. There's not very many times I get to come to Vegas anymore and have a new experience, and that's what this is going to be. Get ready. This is a pirate-themed hotel, or at least it used to be. You know, they're trying to do away with themes in Las Vegas, but it's still Treasure Island, and it's still pirate-themed. I'm going to be the captain. You'll be the first mate. First things first, I'm hungry, and I need to go find something to eat. I know barely anything. I know there's Gillies downstairs. I know there's a steakhouse. There's a new seafood place. I don't know much about them. I'm going to go pick one out just kind of on a whim and get something to eat, and then we're going to explore this property. I guess before I go downstairs, I should mention I'm going to do a room tour later. This is one of the cheapest hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, and you might expect that the room is not very good. My first impressions are pretty favorable. There will be a room tour later, but like I said, I'm super hungry, so we got to get downstairs.
Rises way hanging up, she rises early in the morning.
All right, so right away I settled on the Yacht Club. This is a seafood restaurant because I was in the mood for something a little bit nicer than bar food like I would get at Gillies. Gillies I might go to for a nightcap tonight. For lack of a better description, I would call this like a fancy Red Lobster. That might be a disservice to this place because it actually is kind of nice. The menu looks great. The cocktails are $17 or $18. The food is not terribly expensive, and they have a pretty good selection of seafood. I'm excited about this. Alright, so I did decide to sit here at the bar area because I'm by myself, and they have some high tops that are like right on the casino floor. I really like the vibe. I decided to go ahead and order one of those cocktails. It was $18. This right here is the Castaway. It's one of their signature cocktails. It's got the Kraken Black Rum, Red Bull Coconut Berry Edition, fresh mint, fresh lime juice, simple syrup, and Angostura bitters. This looks quite refreshing. And it is indeed. That fresh mint sets it off. The fresh mint with the lime, that's delicious. That is a nice summer cooler right there, especially when it's like 102 degrees outside at 7 p.m. So the food was out in less than 10 minutes, and I got the Cajun pasta. This is linguine with shrimp, clams, and bay scallops, and also sausage. It looks terrific. It's just what I expected, and again, I'm pretty excited about this. The seafood is fresh. Here's one of the shrimp. That is a very good sized shrimp. There's several pieces of sausage. Came with a breadstick. Have I mentioned yet that I'm impressed? Well, that was actually pretty good, and I am sufficiently fueled up now to take you guys on a resort tour. Let's go see what else there is to do around here. As we get started on this little resort tour, let me tell you what I did already know about this hotel. Treasure Island was built by Steve Wynn. Yeah, that's Steve Wynn, the same Steve Wynn that built the Mirage, Bellagio, Wynn, and Encore. He's pretty much known as the pioneer of modern-day Las Vegas, and this was one of his creations. As a matter of fact, when Treasure Island first opened back in 1993, it was known as Treasure Island at the Mirage. And that connection is why up until just a few days ago, there was a tram connecting the two properties. Now, Mirage is obviously closing. By the time you see this video, it will be closed. So that tram is no longer in existence. But in case you were ever wondering, that's why it's there. So we've made it now into the hotel lobby, and believe it or not, the first time I ever set foot in this lobby was about 2 hours ago when I checked in. This is a really nice first impression of this hotel. It kind of harkens back to those days when Steve Wynn opened this, and it was pretty opulent. The chandeliers, the lighting, it's got windows that look out onto the lagoon. Really a good first impression when you check in here at Treasure Island. From the hotel lobby, you're right out onto the casino floor. The casino here at Treasure Island measures just less than 48,000 square feet, which is pretty small by Vegas standards. For comparison's sake, most of the bigger casinos on the Strip are about 100,000 square feet. The first thing you're going to come across is called Breeze Bar. This is essentially the casino bar. This is really nice. You still have some touches of the island/pirate theme. Not over the top, but a pretty inviting casino bar. Right over here by the hotel elevators, you're going to find Phil's Steakhouse. This is named after owner Phil Ruffin. This is the closest thing you're going to find to fine dining here. I say closest thing, it does look pretty nice, although this is not one you ever hear very much about. Steve Wynn's company owned this hotel until it was actually purchased by MGM, and believe it or not, this was an MGM resort up until 2009, the Great Recession, when they hit hard times and sold the property to Phil Ruffin. If the name Phil Ruffin seems familiar, it's because he also owns Circus Circus. Right next to the lobby, you're going to find the coffee shop. This is your breakfast joint. It opens at 6 a.m. I believe they serve more than just breakfast, although it is closed now. This is about 8:30 p.m. on a Saturday. The TI Players Club is right behind me, but this Players Club is not associated with any other. I mentioned Phil Ruffin owns this resort, but it has separate Players Clubs between Circus Circus and Treasure Island. This is one of the few I don't actually have a card at, so I'm going to go sign up. Okay, there actually are a lot more table games just inside the Sirens Cove entrance. I did a flyby. Table minimums pretty much across the board are $15. None of the blackjack felt says whether it's 3-2 or 6-5 blackjack, so I suspect it's 6-5. Not far from the hotel elevators, you're going to find the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. This is their sports book. It's also their sports bar. It's kind of 2-in-1. It's pretty busy tonight, and it looks like a pretty cool atmosphere. Looks like the betting desk is buried back at the very back of the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. They also have all these little individual betting desks. For such a small casino, they've really maximized the space in here. It's tightly packed. This is old school. The ceilings are low. It's smoky. It's loud. I kind of dig it. Mystere by Cirque du Soleil. This was the first resident Cirque du Soleil production on the Las Vegas Strip. It opened on Christmas Day 1993. We've seen the show one time. It was really good, and we might just see it again. I don't know how long it's going to be here, but it's been here for over 30 years. Better come see it while you still can. Right next to that theater are these escalators that go upstairs to the parking garage. This also was how you used to get to that tram that used to go to the Mirage. Right by those escalators is a really good sized Starbucks. And then right next to that, something I didn't even know existed here. This is the Cove Bar and Arcade. I will say, for such a small casino, this place is a labyrinth. This is really old school in that I've gotten lost numerous times tonight just trying to show you guys around. I've had these deja vu moments where suddenly I'm walking back up on something I saw just a couple of minutes ago, and I can't figure out how I got there. This is the TI gift shop. It is open 24 hours a day. It sells drinks, alcohol, souvenirs, and sundries, and you can get all that stuff, like I said, around the clock. Senor Frogs, this is one of the most popular spots here at Treasure Island. This is Mexican food in a totally party vibe. This is super popular with the 20-somethings. Not my scene anymore. I'm more likely to go to Gillies, believe it or not. This is Gillies. This is kind of the first country bar on the strip. This is named after famed country singer Mickey Gilley, and looks like a pretty good time. So in the early 2000s, when Vegas stopped being such a family destination, they started to de-theme this casino, but a lot of the pirate theming can still be seen inside, mostly on this upper facade, kind of like over at the Mirage before it closed. One great example is this mural over the door that heads out to Sirens Cove. These are the sirens themselves. Still a cool little pirate touch here at Treasure Island. Out front here on the strip, this is called Sirens Cove. This is where the Sirens of TI, the pirate battle, used to take place up until shortly after Phil Ruffin bought the property. And it is, well, it's starting to rain, so I got to get back inside. Okay, it's later now. The rain is gone, so I'm back out here at the Sirens Cove. This CVS was actually built out over what used to be Moore Cove. So the cove used to be a lot bigger than this. So back when this was an actual attraction, I read that parts of this lagoon used to be 60 feet deep. Not nearly that much anymore, but you can see the water is almost completely gone from it now. Performers used to actually dive off of these pirate ships into the water as part of the performance. It was really cool from what I've seen. I wish I could have seen it in person. One more note about Sirens Cove. Back when Steve Wynn demolished the dunes to make way for the Bellagio, he actually ceremonially fired the cannons on one of these pirate ships, and that started the demolition of the dunes, which was right down the street. You can't really see it. It's kind of far away. A little bit cheesy, but kind of cool and so 90s Vegas at the same time. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but obviously this dried up over a long period of time. This boat used to be floating here, tied up at the end of this pier, and now it's just dangling with a caution wet floor sign sitting in it. That's bizarre. Back here on the north end of the casino floor, you're going to find something extremely important if you're staying here at Treasure Island. And that is the entrance to a CVS. It's actually right here just off the casino floor. If you stay on the strip, you're always looking for the nearest Walgreens or ABC stores or CVS. If you're staying here at TI, you actually have one in your hotel. That's a really big deal. I'm going to go in there, grab some waters, get some stuff for the room, take it upstairs, drop off this camera, and I'm going to play a little bit. I will probably check in with you guys in the morning. Oh yeah, and I probably should mention right next to CVS, there's actually a Popeyes as well. Well, good morning from Treasure Island. I slept really good last night. This room is very comfortable. The thermostat kept it perfectly cool. It was dark. I didn't hear any noise from the hallway, so conditions were pretty good. I did get to looking around the room as I settled in. I found a couple issues with the room that I think is going to bother a few of you. A lot of you probably will overlook it, but some people are going to be bothered by it. So I think without further ado, let's get into the room tour. First things first, the decor is actually pretty tasteful in here. These rooms are actually pretty attractive. From what I understand, the last full-scale remodel of these rooms took place right before MGM Mirage sold this to Phil Ruffin in 2009, which is a long time in Vegas years. So yes, the room is dinged up here and there, but overall, it looks pretty good. The workstation is pretty small, but it is very well lit, and because it has this nice big mirror behind it, it could double as your makeup vanity. Over by the window you do have a chair and a table. The chair is kind of interesting. It's almost like an upholstered Adirondack chair. It gets the job done. Both sides of the bed have these nightstands that have quite a bit of storage, including a breadboard and a lamp with a power outlet and a USB port. However, I will note that in all three of my lamps in this room, the USB port doesn't work. Next to the entertainment wall, what's this? Garr! Jordan be having a fridge for his own personal use. Okay, that was stupid. Okay, the bathroom is small. This is definitely a sign of the times. This hotel opened in 1993, so you're not going to get any space in the bathroom whatsoever. You've got a sink, a toilet, and a tub shower combo. And this is where I first started to discover that little issue that I think some of you are going to be grossed out by. After I found 3 or 4 hairs of different lengths and colors in the bathroom, I decided to check out the rest of the room, namely the bed. And you guessed it, I found more hair on the bed sheets. Now there were just a couple of hairs toward the top of the bed, and I did inspect the bed thoroughly after that, and the sheets do look crisp and laundered. I think they were changed. I don't know if these hairs came from the housekeeper or if their laundry service is just not very good, but it's a little bit gross. I can get over it, but I know a lot of you can't, so I just wanted to definitely point that out. Aside from the hairs, the room did appear to be very clean, and when I first walked in, it smelled very strongly of pine sol, so I know it had just recently been mopped. The carpet's also in great condition. The surfaces are clean. They're not smudged. There's no stains or sticky substances on them, so the room was cleaned, but for whatever reason, I've got an issue with hair here. Alright, this morning I've got to go down and get some coffee. I'm also going to check out the pool. I don't have time for a full pool day, but I do want to get down there and at least get some footage so you guys know what the pool is like here at Treasure Island. While I'm down there, I'm also going to film a complete walking tour of this hotel because not only do I like to do that at every hotel I stay at, this one got me lost so many times last night. I think it would be very beneficial if you're thinking about coming here to Treasure Island to have that as a guide to help you find your way around. I know I would have appreciated it before I got here. Alright, I'm going to get out of the room, get downstairs and do that stuff, and then I will come back here and give you my final thoughts and pros and cons for staying at Treasure Island in 2024. So I made it out here to the pool, and I had heard that this was a very small pool, especially for a hotel with 2,800 some rooms. And they weren't kidding. It is a very small pool area. It is pretty nice. There are lots of free loungers, and the cabanas are okay. They look kind of basic, but they're pretty reasonably priced as well. I'll try to put some of that information up on the screen, but let's just go have a look around, and then we'll get back inside. So there is just one pool, and this is it. Not very much water out here. There's also a hot tub, which is surprisingly busy this morning considering it's already about 100 degrees outside. Again, not very much water, but there are tons of loungers. I don't think you'd have a problem getting a lounger at this pool for free. There's an outdoor patio over here, but it doesn't appear to be used. I think that's connected to that coffee shop restaurant inside. There are 2 bars, one indoor, one outdoor. This outdoor bar is closed right now, but it looks like it should be open later on. So let's go check out the indoor bar. So the pool's not awful. The loungers were a little worn looking, but otherwise it was clean and looked pretty nice. The bar was good, and by the way, those cocktail prices, believe it or not, those are some of the cheapest I've seen in Las Vegas. Still expensive, yes, but cheaper than you're going to find other places. All right, I've got just over an hour before I've got to check out, so let's get back upstairs and give you my overall thoughts and pros and cons of this hotel. All right, I've got just less than a half hour before I've got to check out of here, so it's time to give you my overall thoughts of staying at Treasure Island in 2024. Right off the top, I would describe my stay here as slightly better than I expected. I had heard pretty much nothing but bad things about Treasure Island, and for that reason, I didn't think that I would ever stay here. But now that I have stayed here, I don't regret having done it. So let's get into the why with the pros and cons of staying at Treasure Island, in my opinion. Pro number 1, this place is very economical. If you're thinking about staying here at Treasure Island, that's the reason. The rates are cheaper here than they are at all the neighboring properties. This is one of the most economical hotels on the Strip. It's not as cheap at times as, say, a Flamingo or Excalibur, but it's pretty close. Now, I did pay $179 for this room last night on a Saturday night. That's the most expensive in the summertime it really gets. I was looking at the rate calendar, and except for a few dates, it hardly ever gets more expensive than that. Now, I chose the rate that was without resort fee. They do have an offer on their website. You can choose your rate with no resort fee, and that's what I did. That rate is a little bit higher than the standard rate, but at least it's one all-in rate and you don't have to deal with that. After tax, it came to about $202. But during the week, that no resort fee rate is generally about $79, and you add tax onto that and you're less than $100 for a room in this hotel. And I think that's a pretty decent deal. It's fair for the condition of this room and the condition of this property. This room is certainly nicer than, say, an Excalibur room or my experience at Flamingo last summer. And while this hotel overall doesn't have quite as much to offer as, say, an Excalibur, I think it compares very favorably, and this is definitely a nicer room. Pro number 2 for me is going to be location. A lot of times location is in the cons category, but this is a pretty good mid-north strip location, if you will. From here, you can walk pretty much anywhere. You can walk to the center of the strip if you like, but you also have walking access to the newer north end of the strip, where new properties like Resorts World and Fontainebleau have been built. They're pretty far north, but from here you can reasonably walk there, and that's a pretty big perk. You can walk to most of the desirable parts of the strip from this location. Now, it is a little bit of a bummer that the Mirage is going to be a construction site for the next 3 years, but right across the street you have Venetian and Palazzo, you've got Wynn and Encore, you've got the Fashion Show Mall right next door, and so overall I give Treasure Island a very good walking score. Pro number 3 for me is the theme. I love the themed hotels. I wish Vegas still had more themed hotels. They're all just kind of slowly fading away and being toned down, and this one's no exception. The pirate ships outside are looking a little worse for the wear. The lagoon is almost gone, but they haven't done away with it completely, and as a matter of fact, this summer, this month, by the time this video comes out, it'll be open. There's a new attraction coming here to Treasure Island. It's called Sins of the Seas Pirate Exhibit. And that's going into the space above CVS where the Avengers station used to be. So that's cool that they're embracing the pirate theme, and I wish more of these themed hotels would get back to that, because as we know, Vegas is becoming a bit of a white box hotel situation where everything looks the same and it looks very corporate. And here at Treasure Island, you still do at least have somewhat of that pirate theme. All right, now let's talk about the cons while still keeping in mind that this is a budget property. It's not going to be perfect. Con number 1, the cleanliness is questionable. I showed you all the hairs around the room. There's also a lot of weird smells around this property, including in this guest room. Once that smell of pine sol wore off, there's a bit of a funk in this room. It's dinged up and beat up, and that I can usually overlook. The hair situation, I personally can overlook because I felt like overall the room was clean, but I know I said earlier, there's a lot of you that would be completely turned off by that, and I wouldn't blame you. Not only that, the cleanliness of the overall resort was a bit questionable as well. The casino was pretty filthy last night. Now, it was busy, don't get me wrong, it was crowded, it was packed, They were not doing a very good job at all of cleaning up after people. There were glasses, cans, bottles, food waste everywhere. It was just all over the casino floor. Ashtrays were full. So seems like they might need to dedicate a little bit more budget towards sanitation here at Treasure Island. Con number 2, again, this is a budget property, but the service wasn't great. My check-in experience was fine. There was no line, so I got right in and got checked in. I've just come from several different stays in a row where the cocktail service was terrific on the casino floor. Not here at Treasure Island. I played for about an hour and a half last night and was not offered one single drink. Then let's talk about CVS. Now I know that CVS is not owned by Treasure Island, but it is connected. There was one person working in there at 10:30 last night. I went in there to get a drink to bring up to the room before bed, and there were at least 25 people in line. There were just 3 self-checkout stations and 1 employee, and that employee was just monitoring the self-checkout stations. When I bought my water there earlier in the night, there were 5 or 6 people in line, and it took 5 or 6 minutes to get through. I was not going to devote the half hour of time it was going to take to get through that line to get my stuff. So while that CVS is a nice perk here at Treasure Island, if you can't get in there and get anything purchased, it kind of loses its luster pretty quickly. But overall, my assessment of Treasure Island is it is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a budget property that has a fair amount of offering. It has a very busy and vibrant casino floor. It has a decent number of restaurants, and the location is pretty good. If you're staying here during the week and getting your room for less than $100 all in, I think that's a pretty good deal, and I would do it again if I were looking for a budget hotel. Hey, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks as always for watching. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked this video. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. It's absolutely free to subscribe, and that notification bell will make sure you get notified every time we drop new content. Be on the lookout for a walking tour of this hotel. It's going to be on the channel later on after this one. I don't know exactly when, but if you're subscribed and have that notification bell turned on, you won't miss it. I've got to be moving on. We'll see you in that next video because there's always more for us to show you on Show Me Vegas.